everybody, my name is Jpdminecart, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys on what you want to look for whenever you're looking for a computer that is going to work for you for the start of your YouTube process and stuff like that with your community and stuff. So, first things first, if anyone does not know, I do have a website to where you can go to find all my equipment. So my Octoplex here, my monitors, anything like that. So if you want to look into the equipment I use and stuff like that, this is the page to go. I also list my old items if you're interested in some of my old items, like the Fine K670 or the Logitech K350, which I still use this, and the M325, but I use these on my laptop I do for gaming. Now the K670 I don't really use as much because I just don't use it as much anymore, but this does contain all the stuff I use this now, especially the microphone you see right here, which is the K683, and of course my mic stand. But today we're just going to be really focusing on the shopping of a computer. But before we begin, most of the people that are watching my videos aren't subscribed to the channel, so could you please at least do me a favor and check below to see if you're subscribed to the channel. It really helps out the channel a lot, and if you really do love my videos and stuff like that and are enjoying them, especially tutorials or gameplay and stuff like that, make sure you hit the notification bell, that way you don't miss any other videos. But apart from that, let's get into the tutorial, or actually not the tutorial, the explaining what I look into when I'm buying a refurbished computer. Now, if you're that kind of person that wants to make a budget sleeper build, there's a lot of ways you can look for a computer. You can look at your local college to see if they're selling it, or your local school if they're on surplus, or pretty much if Facebook Marketplace or Gratz or something like that. But for me, my computer here, which is a Dell Octoplex 3020, which is not officially known as the sleeper build yet, but it's getting there. I got this computer from the Amazon Renew store. Obviously, my real name is going to get linked, but I'm going to try to hide that. But anyway, so first things first, on whenever you want to find a computer, which I got lucky. The first thing you want to look at is obviously on the Amazon Renew store homepage. It's a really great page. I've had alright luck with their stuff and stuff like that. Once you're located, you want to find the computers section. And then from here, you will find all the list of computers, so from feature Renew computers, so you see a lot of their right now current stuff. Computer accessories, if you're looking for Renew accessories. But here's laptops here with 4 stars. But really, when looking for a computer, either if it's a laptop or a desktop, but today I'm really going to be focusing more on the desktop. And of course, you can get any types of here. They do between Lenovo, Dell, HP, Apple, Chromebooks, Windows, especially for some reason Xbox. But when you're looking at computers like these, if you're wanting to get a sleeper build to where you want to put a GPU, change the power supply, the recommendation is don't get a PC like this. That's very thin, doesn't give you enough room to work with. So you want to find something that's kind of thick. So pretty much it's one of those things you can scroll through. Now, if you have a particular model in mind, if you've seen the review from someone else, you can look to see if it's on the Amazon News page. So pretty much it's just all about in the scrolling to see, scrolling to see on, what to find. Now for me, I have managed to find what I have because I found out this on the TikTok. So TikTok kind of comes in handy, if you see a lot of, if you're recommended with a lot of IT type of videos. So right now we're going to just scroll through, and those might do, but those just don't seem the standards to what I would consider a good sized computer to work with. So let me just continue scrolling, and when I scroll and find something, pretty much we'll go from there. Okay, I did find something, but I already know that this is not a good looking sign. Now, you're probably thinking, $135.50, that's not a bad price. But we'll go ahead and have this as an example, but I want to search for another one. So we'll be right back when we find another one. Okay, I found one here, 790. That's another one we'll look at, and it's for 169.89. Okay, so let me continue looking. Oh, I think I may have found one already. That looks like a good size one. Let me have a look at this one. Let me have a look at it. Okay, so obviously I want to look at the desktop first, because if you're wanting to do a GPU, you gotta have a good size, okay? So let's look at the review pictures. And really, that seems like a medium size weight. Seems alright. So now we have 3 here. Now, probably wondering, why did I pull up all 3 of these? Okay, well, first things first, let's read this one. This one here says it's a Dell Octoplex Mini Tower PC. Doesn't say what type, which kind of puts you on a nervous strike. And why you're probably concerned of why am I concerned about this? Well, let me explain. Now, obviously this one does not tell you the details, and because this one doesn't tell you the details, this one is go ahead and straight away saying this is not one you should get. Now, true, it may say it has Windows 10 Home Edition, but you gotta look in the other specs here. So it says here, okay, so let's scroll down real quick. Maybe we have better luck, because sometimes when you scroll down, you can look here. Okay, here we go. So your processor is a 1.8 gigabytes Core 2 Dual. That's not a good CPU. So that's the first thing you say that's not worth getting. Okay. The second thing is your RAM. It shows 4 gigs. There's the one thing it doesn't say, and this can be nervousing. It doesn't say what type of RAM. So that's the second thing that tells you it's not worth getting. The third thing is it shows your hard drive. It says it's 160 gigabytes. But it doesn't say what type, if it's an HDD or an SSD. But it does tell you the Windows operating system is a Windows 7. Now that most likely probably doesn't mean it was originally a 7. It could have been a Vista. It could have been something else. That's where this really comes into the thing, or into an issue. Now it does tell you here your memory type is a DDR2, so your RAM situation is no longer an issue. But because it says your processor and your hard drive, and I don't see so far, it hasn't told me what type of hard drive. Solid state. So I think it's an SSD. So it's probably, yeah. So it's probably got to go to hard drive, but the processor in it's not. And because it doesn't tell us what type of Octoplex it is. I mean, it tells us it's a series. Okay, it tells us right here, 755. For ones like these, this is not a great label, which really tells, it's not a great look. It's not a great introduction to tell you, hey, this is a good looking product. So with this rate, $135.50, that may be a good price, but it's outdated enough that it's not good to look at. So let's look at this Dell Octoplex 790. Now this is a perfect size. Now I don't have the 790, I have the 3020. So obviously it's a 790 high performance computer mini tower, Intel Core i5. i5 is a good start to this. It shows you 8 gigs of RAM. That's a good start too. 2 terabyte drive. Now that's a great introduction, but it's an HDD instead of an SSD. So you're going to get to the point where you might struggle with some bottleneck issue. 200 plus a 220 gigabyte SSD. Okay, so it does have an SSD. So in some ways, this one really would be kind of good for donors' parts. DVD, Wi-Fi, Windows 10 Pro 64 renewed. Now, it looks good. It looks like a good PC, but this is the thing you need to take in consideration in these things. Most of these computers that they sell are already loaded with 10. Now, like I said, you need to be sure that this operating system is an 8, or like if it was originally an 8 or higher. So, what you can do is you can Google up this model. So sometimes you can find this on their official site. So here's a PDF right now of it. So the PDF might tell you some things, but basically you want to find the specs and stuff about this computer. So if you go to the official Dell, so since this is a Dell, you go to Dell here. So as you can see, I have spec sheets here. What I want to know is what type of computer this is. So sometimes you want to find, you know, their product sell, or like pretty much it just tells you, you know, what type it is. So pretty much you just need to figure out what type of a computer it is. If it's a originally, if it was a 7 or an 8, we know it's a Pro, so most likely it would probably be activated as a Pro. So it could be an 8 Pro or a 7 Professional, which is technically known as a Pro. So pretty much right here you can read it. So as you can see, 7 Windows 7 Home. As you can see here, Windows 7 Home, Windows 7 Professionals. Because if I scroll in here, right here where it says operating systems, as you can see right here, it says Windows 7 Home Base, Windows 7 Home Premium, Windows 7 Professionals, Windows 7 Ultimate. It can either have Vista, Vista Businesses, Vista Ultimate, Linux. But basically, this sheet tells you that this processor of the computer most likely may have been a 7. Now, you're probably thinking, 7, it's not that outdated, but here's an issue. If you tend to plan on upgrading your hard drive, now, this may not be a big issue if you really don't want to do this, but personally, it unlocks more features, but you would probably be spending more than what a hard drive, like you'd be spending more than a hard drive because you would have to buy a 10 activation key for this, because basically when they released 8, they stopped providing the activation numbers and letters and stuff on the key. Pretty much they stopped providing those. They just put the 8 or 10 stickers. So basically the activation key is engraved into the board. So if you plan to get a new drive and you put in a 10 installment, the 10 installment goes to the drive and realize, oh, here's an activation key. I can automatically activate the Windows 10 or whatever it was, either if it was a home or a professional. So the 790, it's a good looking computer, but it's more money to put into it for an activation key than it but for itself, if you really want to use the 2 terabyte HDD hard drive and the 120 gigabyte SSD hard drive and just upgrade the RAM, it'd be a good computer. But if you're planning on just putting a SATA, like a bigger size SATA drive in it, like an SSD, that's where a lot of money comes into play. So that's something you want to keep a watch out for, especially if you're trying to be into a budget. Also, one more thing I did forget to mention about the Octoplexes series. If you do plan on going for an Octoplex series and you tend to want to upgrade your power supply to a better wattage if you're putting a GPU in it and making it a sleeper build, there's this most likely chance you may need to buy a 24 to 8 pins converter, because the Octoplexes, they run off of a 8 pins to power the board. I don't know why they did it. They probably were trying to avoid other usage of power supplies being used in Octoplexes, because the Octoplexes, they're quite interesting because the motherboard actually also powers up the SATA devices. So it will power up your SATA DVD drive, your SATA hard drive. And much as I don't really like that, because I like to have the actual power come direct from the actual power supply, I would definitely also recommend upgrading the power supply, even if you're not going to get a GPU, because then you'll have better watts in your computer, and then your power to all your SATA drives are coming direct from the SATA drive, or I'm sorry, from the actual power supply and not the board. So yeah, that was another thing I forgot to mention about that. But anyway, So this is the Egg-800 G1 Business Tower. HP. Now this is HP. I have no idea how HP is, but we will figure it out. So let's search up this real quick. It has i5 in it, 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte HDD, and 120 gigabyte brand new SSD. So it has a terabyte or it has an HDD and an SSD. Wireless Wi-Fi display port. Also, yeah, when you're looking at these, obviously look at their I/O shields. Let's see what their I/O shields have to offer to see if they're compatible for your needs. So here's the panel of this one. It does have the PS2 connectors. It has the keyboard connectors 2.0, has RJ45, which is your Ethernet, 2 display outputs, 1 VGA, a serial connector, 2 3.0, and then 2 USB 2.0s. So there's actually 4 USB 2.0s on this one. So this one's not a bad looking one. Power supply, I'm not for sure. But yeah, let's look down at the specs, shall we? So the specs on this one, okay, we don't want to read that. Processors are 3.2 Apple i5, 16 gigs of DDR3, so it's a DDR3. This one here is saying the 1 terabyte SSD, but the description's saying wrong, so something may have been a typo. It's an HP series of 800 G1. It's an HP Elite 800 G1, and it says it has 10 Pro. But like I said, you have to be sure that it is an actual official, whatever it is. So let's paste this in, and let's see if HP will give us an estimate quote. So we have a support here. I guess we'll go into support, and we'll see. So let's go into HP support real quick. So I am wanting to look at the product. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here's what we want to look at. So somewhere it will tell you all the specs. So what we want to find is we want to see the operating system it most likely might have, for this type at least. So pretty much you just want to scroll through. Right now it's telling me all the GPUs and stuff, which is kind of good, especially if you want to look in graphics cards. For this particular type, HP gives you all the knowledge. Okay, here we go. And most likely this may not help, but like I said, you just need to do the research. It takes a little bit of time, but once you get the research, it just tells you what it most likely might have. So as you can see, I've been scrolling through this, and it's been giving me a lot of details, which is kind of nice for HP. And of course it brings up the ad, but that's just HP for you. But somewhere in this whole line of text, it will tell me what most likely of the processor it has. So let's just keep scrolling and we will find it. Also, another thing is, if you don't want to scroll through the whole list, just do the Control F. And because I'm a terrible swearer, we're going to do this. Operating system. Here we go. Operating systems. Okay, so here is a list of operating systems. So there is a slight chance this one may have a success, because it says here it can either have a 7-home premium 64, a 7-home premium 32, a professional 64, a professional 32, available through down rate from the 8 Pro or the 8 Pro, or a professional 64 or a professional 32, ultimate 64, ultimate 32, 8 64, which is the home, or 8 Pro, which is the 64. So basically it also shows you pre-installed, and it supports limited support, XP professionals, that's OG. Either way, you just probably do more research. But this one right here, like I said, I'm not much of an HP expert, but this one most likely might be a good one. But anyway, yeah, that's how I do my search. And to be honest, I wish I knew about the looking up the processor on the computer of mine before I bought it. I got real lucky on it, but this is kind of how I just go through the computers and just see what they originally are. And because of me, and I'm trying to I'm in a budget, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on an Activision key because I like having Activision computers because you get some features unlocked. That's why I like going through this, because basically if the computer was if it's an 8 or higher, it will automatically activate. But if it's a 7 or below, you have to run that installment of that processor, which now 7 is obsolete because of Windows 11. It would not be worth getting a 7 because you'll be spending a lot more money on an activation key than having one that's released of an 8 or a 10. Mainly a 10, but 8 definitely would be better. But yeah, this is what I look at whenever I look into buying computers, even though I haven't done this in a while. But I've done it once with this Octoplex, and I've done it when researching for other site for parts like Corsair stuff. Obviously, if you're going to upgrade your power supply, definitely look into Corsair stuff. They are reliable, great. I recommend them, and especially because I'm going to get a new port for mine. I think I have to get a SATA drive stand, so I'm probably going to look in Corsair for that because I just prefer Corsair. But yeah, this is pretty much what I look into whenever I'm looking into buying PCs. It's kind of the same thing with the laptop if you're looking into a laptop, but the laptop can be random of whatever you have in mind because you can't really do a GPU. But mainly just be sure the laptop is an 8 or higher, has an alright processor, and you can update the RAM if you want to, but do note you need to look into laptop size RAM because it's a little different. And laptops can be kind of interesting on how they come apart because it's all different layouts than it is with computers, desktops technically. But yeah, pretty much that's. But anyway, yeah, that's that. So anyway, if you did enjoy this video and kind of got to know on how I got my Octoplex and how I came up with it and how I figured out I knew which was best for me, which I didn't really at the time, but I wish I knew at the time. But now you know. Now you should really keep in knowledge of this stuff whenever you're looking for it and that kind of thing. And you thought this was very useful to you and you really did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Not a lot of people that watch my videos are subscribed to the channel, so like I said, if you please check down there to see if you are subscribed. That would be really appreciated. It will help out the channel. If you really do enjoy the videos and stuff and all the information and gameplays I do, like I said, make sure you hit the notification bell. But apart from that, I have been your host, Jpdminecart. You've been the artist, and I will see you all and next time. Goodbye, everybody.